I want to talk about some topics in physics and interesting phenomena that could have a lot of value later on in our civilization. Uh, the Sufi master said that there is really nothing new under the sun. Everything, every discovery, every technology that you can imagine, it already exists. And we humans, we think that we are discovering new things and making new kinds of machines. In fact, that's totally not true. I was watching the news a while ago, and I guess some Air Force planes near San Diego or something like that, they had spotted the UFO, and one of the pilots, they photographed it. They were showing it. You know, the cursor was around this object, and it was actually flying at incredible speeds. And the pilots were talking to each other, and they were saying that this is not from planet Earth. We don't Humans, they don't make machines like this, or we do, and we don't know who has them. Well, actually, these technologies, they were intercepted a long time ago, 50, 60 years ago, and both the Germans and the Americans and possibly Russians, they had access to these, but they kept it secret. There are already anti-gravity devices that are made by humans. But the interesting thing is that there are all these archaeological sites on the moon and even on Earth that show that there were great civilizations, and these technologies have been around for a long time. Or some civilization abandoned it, and then we don't know. I think that if we look at the basic physics, okay, and not look at archaeology and just try to kind of reason that these things they must exist. Well, in the nature there is like four forces of the nature. One is the electromagnetic force, then there is the weak force, then there is the strong nuclear force, weak nuclear force, then there is gravity. That's four forces of nature, and they have found out that these forces are related. They are not an independently divergent kind of phenomena. And what I am very interested in is the concept that the electromagnetism and gravity, that they're at some strength as of electromagnetism, the gravity can manifest itself, or at some nuclear distances, getting close to the nucleus of the atom, the gravity and electromagnetism, they are not so separate. There is a play between them. Well, there were some videos by Mr. Michael Lazar, and he was talking about that there was this technology that was captured from UFO, and he was also talking about element 115, and the fact that this element really doesn't exist on Earth, but some places in the universe this element, which has very interesting properties, exists. And what he showed is that if you direct a neutron beam onto this element, it makes it unstable. So the nucleus, which is already very large, it expands I think, and then the gravity that's bound in this nuclear area or radius, it it does something interesting. So the cumulative effect of all these phenomena is that there is a kind of negative gravity that emanates from this atom when you bombard it with neutrons. And he was showing that the aliens had used this technology to construct a device that creates negative gravity. So basically he was saying that this is how the UFOs they achieve propulsion. But then he went ahead and was talking about that there is an envelope around the UFO that surrounds it because of this negative gravity. Then I was adding to it that there is a field, Higgs field, that interacts with the mass of objects, and if by some means, as if like an envelope that he was talking about around the UFO, this field can be disabled, we will have something like a bubble around any object that had this negative gravity field, and the net effect would be like as if this bubble has disconnected from the universe, because the way the universe works, it works through this Higgs field, it interacts with mass, and this is how mass is created. Or this is also the reason for barrier, the light barrier, because when an object is forced to move, it has to interact with this field. It's like an ant that has to go through a field of molasses, and the faster that it wants to move, it has to spend a lot more energy, and there is a limit of how fast it can go. So these concepts are very interesting, but another interesting thing that pops up in the UFO literature is has to do with the underground civilizations, that they think that there has been breakaway civilizations in the past, and there are many particles that they have no charge, they don't interact with the matter around them. For example, neutrino does not have a charge, and neutrinos can travel through the mantle of the earth and come out from the other side, because there is nothing that attracts them, they don't interact with all the atoms around them, and most of the atoms are basically empty space. But say that there was this bubble of nothingness that was created because of negative gravity, I think that this bubble can move through solid mass, because it will not interact with it. I think this is the basis for space-time traveling, as if a space-time becomes like a putty, but this bubble of nothingness can just move through it. Well, I might sound like gibberish, but if you know a little bit of physics or quantum physics, might make some kind of sense. So I think somebody in the past used this technology, and there was some accounts from Philadelphia experiments. I guess Tesla created this cage, and or electromagnetic cage, or Tesla cage, and at some frequencies or at some high electromagnetic uh, pulses or frequencies, this field can also repel Higgs field. So in these accounts of Philadelphia experiments, there were some accounts that some of the people were stuck in the walls. Other accounts that they said that the people said that we were moving through the walls. The whole ship was twisted as if it was putty, and this phenomena is kind of related to space-time traveling, and also the fact that an object that is in this bubble of nothingness or in this electromagnetic cage could also exhibit very strange properties like move through solid space. So I think this is the phenomena that exists. There's some evidence for it, and I think that the ancients or aliens used this to travel into regions of the mantle that they would feel safer. Well, there is a lot of psychic stuff or stuff about quantum physics that I know of, but I don't talk about them because I don't want to be accused of lunacy or to be called crazy. But some of this stuff is very crazy. I was talking to a friend of mine. He was giving me a ride from the temple, and he was asking me. We were saying, I was telling him some of this stuff, and he was saying, "Hey, maybe we should write these things down." And you know, well, I told him maybe, but maybe not, because this stuff is so crazy. Well, I have to first believe it myself. And then I will tell you too. But well, the physicists, some of them, they think that if new theory in quantum physics is not very crazy, it probably isn't true. I think the universe is a lot more strange than we think, and there are phenomena like this, and some alien civilization or even humans in the past, they used it and they accomplished things that put them outside of our range. Well, another phenomena I see in like ancient aliens or ancient technologies is that we humans, we think that development or when science progresses, it only happens in material world. Like you know, we make better machines and we have better theories, but the development doesn't have to be limited to material world. It can happen in psychic world, in the psychic phenomena, and some ancients or aliens, they know of this. It's like a parallel development, and well, the field around the human being or the ghost of a human being can also do very strange things, and by just being in a certain way you can affect things. Well, the only examples that the Christians or Americans know of is the stuff that they read in New Testament, but I think this field is very expanded and there is a lot of stuff that can go on. Well, in the literature, in the YouTube, I find a lot of literature or videos on transdimensionals and crop circles. There is a researcher, his name is Mr. Greer, and his stuff is very interesting. I don't know, I might go into some of these ideas in the next videos. I want to keep this video as believable as I can without being accused of lunacy. Well, thank you for putting up with me, and please subscribe, and don't be shy, leave your comments.